Welcome to Fit Club Unleashed. This is the episode 3. My co-host Jesse, and we have two really strong people here. Nick Best. I don't need to tell more about you.
I showered today, so I'm not that strong.
Yeah, I don't know. And Brittany Diamond. Yes, I made sure that's her real name. Thank you for coming, guys.
I
Appreciate you coming
Thanks for
on.
having us.
Yeah. So I want to start the podcast with how did you came into strongman or fitness in general? Like, how did this happen?
Well, I started lifting weights when I was 14 to play football. Believe it or not, I was like 5'3" and about 130 pounds my sophomore year of high school.
Wow.
I grew nearly a foot between my junior and senior year.
Wow.
And it started lifting weights, and I was just off from there, from that. I got into powerlifting in high school. I won the state championships here in Nevada in 1986. I did my first powerlifting meet in 1985 here in Nevada, here in Las Vegas.
Nice.
And then took a couple years off, then did the California State Championships in 91 and won the 220s, and then in the natural division. And then I went to the ADFPA, and I won the state championship there from, God, what was it, 94 through 99?
Killing it.
It was the first drug-free 800-pound squat in California history, the first drug-free 2,000-pound total in California history, and then went on to start Strongman in 2004, and then went to World's Strongest Man the first time in 2010 and went 10 times.
So what was the transition from powerlifting to strongman?
So Mark Philippi, who had won the ADFPA's 319-pound class and was world champion, I was on the same team with him. So I was in the 275s, he was in the 319s. He had a strongman contest at UNLV kind of like halfway through 2003, and John Anderson was there, Grant Higa was there, Carl Gillingham was there, Phil Pfister was there.
Wow.
And I'm watching these guys go and compete, and they're having a ball. They're just having an absolute ball. And then I watched them get paid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm already world powerlifting champion, and I didn't
I'm
make
not
a
getting paid.
dime.
Exactly.
So I was like, this looks fun. And my son looks at me. He's like 2 years old. He's like, Dad, you're pretty strong.
Yeah.
You should do this. I'm like, good idea, kid.
Oh, that's
And
cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
without him saying that, I wouldn't be here.
That's
Awesome.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
But you started with, so another question. You think you would be taller if you would have not started that early with
No.
powerlifting?
No.
Because I feel like sometimes that
Well,
keeps you.
I was 6'3", and now I'm 6'2", so I've lost an inch in height, but like my L5 and L4 are fused naturally, and then my sacrum in L5 is actually fused naturally. I can get down to the bar and pull, 700-800 pounds, no problem, but I get to my toes, a little iffy. Without weight in my hands, a little iffy.
Because I have a friend, he started lifting weights with 13, and he looked with 15 jacked, and I was always like, oh, but his parents were all both 6'2" and 6'3". He was 5'5", and my mom always said like, you can't lift too early, that makes you short. And
Nah.
I don't know if that's true.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not
Okay.
true.
I think it's just individual.
Yeah, I think
Some people,
we're-
they unleash more growth and get bigger.
Yeah.
Their growth plates probably expand faster, but others, maybe it falls in, you know.
Well, in all honesty, lifting's safer than any of the contact sports. Football,
for sure.
baseball.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You're not gonna
I more
break
meant like the
growth
pressure from up. You know, like when you do a military press or a
Nah.
squat.
Nah.
No.
Okay.
You're also, I have to say, you're not a professional strongman. You said L3, L4, or L4, L5 are fused.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, mine aren't fused, but mine are busted. That's I always tell people, like, if they want to get into it, I'm like, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. Strongman is so back intensive.
Oh, okay. Imagine.
I mean, I didn't even do. I had L4, L5 with 19, but I had it with playing football,
Yeah.
and I couldn't work out for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And even now, my foot position is always one leg goes this way. So yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
It
but
took
this-
about 3 years, really, both times, for the pain to subside, the things to heal and stuff like that. I just kept lifting through it and was just trained around it and was careful with it.
Do you have any problem?
No.
Yeah.
So I have a friend that I played football with here. His name's Steve Shaw. He's a chiropractor here. And I remember I was doing the training for the hip lift in Australia in like 2012. And we were going to try to break the world record in the hip lift, which at that time was like 2,000 pounds. And we ended up going like, I think 2,514 pounds. It was like 1,135 kilos or something. It was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And I was training for it out in the street, and I had the belt too high on my back, and I popped the $2,000 off the floor, and it cracked my L4 and L5.
Wow.
And then 3 weeks later, I went and broke the world record.
Wow.
In Australia. Jenkins and I tied, but I was like 90 pounds lighter than Jenkins at that time. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you start it?
So I actually
For women,
started,
is it probably even like how you get into the strongman?
yeah, so my fitness,
Strong woman.
I started as a runner when I was young, and I honestly just loved being outside. I grew up in the woods, and I was kind of a loner. I was always just hanging out in the woods, literally just like lifting stones.
That's
There's like home videos of me just like playing outside lifting stones. So it wasn't until years later I saw it on TV. I thought it was really cool. I started lifting in 7th grade. I would go up to the high school to run track with the older girls, and I was really self-conscious of how small my arms were. So I pretty much just started in the weight room. I just did bench press and biceps almost every day. Didn't know how to squat or anything like that. And then I went to college. I was a Division I rower. I didn't actually like rowing. I just did it for a scholarship. It was kind of a means to an end, but it was there that I had a strength and conditioning coach, and they taught us all the main movements. For rowing, you do a lot of front squats, seal rows, and
Front squats. That's interesting.
which is perfect for strongman because that is all loading events. So it was my junior year of college. I was on summer break. I worked at a gym. I was teaching young girls how to lift, and I stumbled on Facebook something called Boston's Strongest. I clicked on it, and I was like, oh my God, this is just like on TV. This is so cool. It was in 2 weeks. I signed right up for novice. I called the gym owner, and I said, am I signed up? Am I signed up? And he was like this mean kind of Boston guy, and he's like, yeah, why are you calling me? And I was like, I just wanted to make sure I was signed up.
Yeah.
And then before I knew it, I had a couple girls messaging me on Facebook. They were trying to send me DVDs. You were actually one of them,
Oh,
those
wow.
stone people.
Wow.
And
Full circle.
I was like,
Yeah.
I don't need those DVDs. I'm just gonna
Circles,
wing
yeah.
it. So yeah, my first contest was August of 2013. I did novice 1, and that kind of got me through my senior year of college because at this point I didn't want to row anymore. I just wanted to lift. And as soon as I graduated and the rowing season was still going on, and we had A10 championships. And as soon as I was done, I moved to an area purposely right in Boston so I could train at a gym called Total Performance Sports. They had some of the best strongman athletes, and I went all in. And
Wow.
yeah, I did the same show a year later as a middleweight and made it to nationals that year. I was 100. I remember I started putting weight. I was 155 pounds when I graduated, and I made sure that I ate enough to get to 160 as a middleweight. And then I placed there, qualified for the Arnold, and then I turned pro in 2017, did OSGs and 3. So women didn't have at the time as many opportunities as men did. So we only had one strongest woman in the world a year. So I did that for 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah, and
What was the placing? Is it like
I placed first at 1, and I got
Wow.
3. I got 20. I got 3 in the other ones, and then at OSG where I met Nick for the first time, I got 3rd. Do you remember when we first met? Because I want to hear your take.
Oh, jeez.
It was during Stones at OSG.
Nope.
Okay, well I do. I remember it like it was yesterday because I had grown up and I saw Nick.
it's funny what you remember
Yeah.
there's weird moments
Yeah.
I remember from like 20 years before. Then I don't know what I did last week. Like
Yeah. No, I was
Yeah.
excited because I had watched him on TV, like World's Strongest Family was
Oh,
on.
yeah, yeah.
And I remember like how many eggs you ate and stuff. And I just, I was so excited to meet you. You and Big Z were at that show. It was my first big
Okay.
show.
Okay.
And it was my first time.
I do remember you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
everyone said I was wearing candy cane shorts.
Yep.
And they were USA though.
Yep. I remember that. Yep.
So it was my first time lifting the 300-pound stone, and it was to 48 inches. We had like a stone medley, and the whistle, like the 60 seconds was over. And I remember I dropped the 300-pound stone, and Nick like came up to me and very aggressively, you were like, "Why did you drop it?" I was like, "Because the whistle went off." He was like, "It doesn't matter. That was still so awesome that you
I
lifted
do
it like it was
remember this,
nothing."
yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
"All right." I didn't think my first encounter with Nick would be him like
yelling
Screaming
at
at
you.
spitting all over me. But
But he was impressed. Otherwise, they would not
Yeah,
yell.
she was badass.
Yeah.
You would not waste your time for somebody who has no genetic
No,
for it.
no.
And like with her, like I don't know you for a long time, but
This I do
what I
remember.
can say is
Yeah.
you guys are made for this. Like she's a real athlete. Like I think she could, whatever sport she would choose, she would say, I want to do basketball. She would be good in basketball.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh, I have no
it's
hand-eye coordination. That's not true.
No, but like you are somebody like you are so focused, and you when you want something, I feel like you get it no matter what. And there's not a lot of people like that, like who go all in. Like I'm gonna do this. And I have really respect of that.
It's a blessing and a curse.
When she puts her mind to things, she'll get it done.
It sounds like it was a passion right out the gate. There was a lot of deviations early on, right? You didn't do any kind of bodybuilding or other stuff
No.
early on?
She's
No.
doing now bodybuilding.
Yeah, when I was young, I thought I'd be a bodybuilder actually, because
Oh,
I can
okay.
remember I'd wake up early on Saturday mornings and watch. Like, do you remember those funny at-home workout videos?
Oh yeah, the women like in those funny pants.
Yeah, I would actually
Yeah.
do those a lot of the times and like practice. And I grew up. My mom was always benching. That's the only lift she really did. But
That's cool. My mom
Yeah.
didn't bench.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm not so strong.
yeah, and I thought bodybuilding was the plan. I felt like I put muscle on pretty easily. But then when I found the strongman, it was just like
So much easier.
it just. I
for
felt like
you.
I was naturally
Yeah.
because I was a good lifter, but I could also where I was a runner. It's pretty athletic. It's similar to football in the sense that like you have to be able to move, go fast, run around with heavy weight on your back, but it also feels like it's just kind of a game. Like I just feel like I'm a kid when I'm doing it. It's just fun.
Yeah, so interesting is that I asked yesterday also Joe and Brittany. So most people start bodybuilding because they have a complex, or like because you want to look better. You like what is it like? I always was wondering what brings you to do strongman. So for you it was just way easier like than for other people. You realizing you're good at it, so you're doing it, or is there other reasons like?
Well, I started lifting for two reasons. One, I wanted to play football, and two, I had a stepdad that I was
Didn't
pretty
like it.
physical with me, and I just wanted to make sure that nobody was going to be able to do that ever again, and
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. Nick and I don't want to talk about that too much, but Nick and I bonded years ago. We shared our stories.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's very common in the sport. Like a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was asking. For instance,
Yeah.
for me was I got fat when I really was like 12, 13. So when that time where you get the inches for women, I was the fat kid. They made fun of me. Nobody wanted me in their teams.
Right.
So those were so horrible years. Then when I was like 19, I'm like, I'm gonna change this.
Right.
Like, and I was like, so my parents like, in 7 months I made something happen that you would need only 3 years, because I was like so sick of it. I'm like, it's done. I don't want to do this anymore. And like that's what I'm saying. A complex. I think that complex pushed me way farther, like years and years. The complex, like I want to look better and better and better.
Exactly.
And then you realize at some point, I don't even like anymore how I look. I went way too far.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's the problem. Like I said, I went way too far. I should have stopped there. Like,
No, I just have a ball training. I
Yeah.
really do. And then I like competing as well. But I love the training process. I still love the training process. And when it becomes to where it's not fun anymore is when I'll probably just go to normal type of training. I'm always going to train.
yeah.
But I like lifting heavy. I like going through the process. I like the metamorphosis for where you start here and you end here and the discipline involved in it. And it's never really let me down.
Yeah, and like even when we walk through the gym, I saw your big eyes seeing those
Yeah.
great machines, and you're
Yeah.
like, I want to try this.
Yeah,
You only have that when you really love it.
Yeah.
Like when I walk into a gym, I'm always like, I need to see if they have something raw. I never tried. It's like a candy store.
But I think too, when it comes to powerlifting or strongman, I like that you also have an outcome that's definite. It's not a subjective outcome.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a measuring stick. It's not because somebody thought I did or this. Nah, it's because I picked that up and nobody else could.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's awesome because you can
No-
actually win.
No matter what happens, no matter how the contest is set up or whatever, the guy who goes out and performs the best at it, he's the guy that wins.
Period.
So how are you guys prepping for the strongman? I know now how people for powerlifting prep or for
Oh, yeah.
bodybuilding.
Good point.
How you guys prep for a show? Because in bodybuilding, on the day X you go on stage, you feel the worst. Like you feel like trash. But
Yeah.
in strongman, you need to be the fittest. So are
You
you
need to be
guys
the healthiest.
Healthiest.
Well, and that's kind of what you mentioned earlier about why you do that form of super high volume, heavy weight, because that's giving you an adaptive cardio to high output performance, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's
Yeah.
what I was-
It's yes. Yeah, it's one of the things, because Well, we have to be athletic with it. We have to be able to do max lifts. We have to be able to do lifts for refs, and then we have to be able to move as fast as
That's
possible.
the crazy part.
With heavy loads. So
it's almost like CrossFit, but way like in a
For
like,
men.
yeah, like no, but in CrossFit
For men,
you lift,
exactly.
for CrossFit you lift stuff,
Right.
but you have also endurance, and like that's the crazy part. You need to be strong, but you need to also have endurance. You can't just do a max lift, that lift, and all the other stuff you suck. Then you're not gonna do well.
Yeah, correct. And so you have to be a well-rounded athlete. And the guy that's usually the most well-rounded, look at, I mean, who's touching Mitchell Hooper right now?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
that's something.
That's the most rounded
Yeah.
guy that's
Yeah.
ever been in the sport that I've seen.
That's something I talked yesterday too. I think from old school till now, a lot of changed also physical wise. Like I feel like strongmen get more fit and fit and fit. Like Mitchell,
science is
Mitchell is
getting
not
better.
fat at all.
Yeah,
like he looks great.
The
For,
massive guys are starting to come down and come
Yeah.
down and come down because his like limit strength, his maximum effort strength is just as high as all the other guys being 330 except for his conditioning. And the guy goes and runs a kilometer every day after he gets done training.
he's not even.
But
eating
that
a
burns
lot.
muscle though.
Does it? It doesn't look like
No,
it
I'm
burns
just
it on
saying.
him.
That's
If
what
you're-
everybody
if
says.
you're
They're like,
enhanced, then
oh,
it
if you do too much
doesn't.
cardio, you lose muscle. I'm
Well,
like,
that's one thing. I mean, I'm talking a lot. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, it's okay.
That's one thing I noticed in 2017 when I did the U.S. Open, and I competed in that. And there's guys backstage that can't breathe as they're warming up, and I'm like
Yeah.
looking at them like, what's wrong with you? And they're like looking at me like, you're not even winning or nothing. I go, no, why would I be winded at this? I'm warming up for the squats.
Yeah.
I'm like, you shouldn't be winded putting your shoes on. You shouldn't be
Exactly.
winded doing these things. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. You're not going to lose that much muscle or any muscle
No.
It's just
by
energy, yeah.
making sure you're in good physical
Yeah.
condition.
And then back in the days, they were saying like,
You're actually going to hurt your
you need to
performance.
be heavy to lift heavy, and that doesn't even make sense. Like, how does the fat helps you to lift weights?
Right.
Like that doesn't even make sense.
That's the biggest difference you'll notice if you go to a local strongman show versus a pro. A lot of times at like the local level, like they're strong at the gym, but they'll be that day they'll be like just pounding food, or they have that notion like, mass moves mass or something, which I think
Yeah.
the only lift that
Truck
body
lift.
weight does matter is
Truck
truck pull or bench press, and
yeah.
bench press isn't a strongman lift.
Unfortunately.
So with that, since we were talking about how everything evolved now to a lot more of the science and the dieting side of it, refining it to like the super peak performance.
Right.
Coming back to when it was like your peak times, all that wasn't there. So like, what were you guys doing at that time to maximize without also?
Same stuff they're doing now.
You were just
Got it then.
building out the foundation for it. Yeah.
like for instance, that guy,
But I mean, early-
the Polish guy. What is his name?
Pujanowski.
Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy had a fucking six pack
Always.
all year long. He looked like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Like why did what
Rounded
other
out.
people thought about this guy is in shape? Why do
Right.
I get fat? How
Right.
many World Man did he won?
5 total.
Yeah, but that's like he looked like shredded. Like,
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, he was really lean. He's about to fight Eddie Hall, by the way.
Oh wow!
Really?
I didn't hear
Yeah,
about
him
that.
and he got into MMA after.
They all
Strongman.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
that. But I thought he already quit because, or maybe nobody wants to fight him. I think.
I think it's a little of both, but I think he's 13 and 14.
Oh, that's not that great.
It's not that great, but I mean,
He makes money.
he doesn't have to do anything.
He
doesn't
makes
wanna
money
do.
with that probably.
He
just
was
for fun.
independently wealthy after he finished World's Strongest Man. So
I mean, Brian Shaw wanted to it, but I think he didn't find somebody component. I think.
well, the for Brian when he was doing it, the promoters said all this money, and then the money just went poof, and so did the contest. But Brian, I was afraid for all.
that's what I'm saying.
For the 3 other guys, I was afraid for them. 'Cause
Brian is like.
Brian is a perfectionist. He will go full in. You will never see somebody examine things and go through things better than Brian.
He's like
You
I
won't.
love watching his videos.
Maybe Mitchell.
No matter what he does, it's like he's studying it to this. Like he does arm wrestling and he buys equipment for arm wrestling.
Yes.
It's like I'm like when he was training for MMA, I'm like I feel bad for that person who's against him.
I felt
like that's
great.
why 400 pounds against him.
I felt great when we were on the TV show because, you know, I know Frank Mir. I've done some training with him. I know some basic jiu-jitsu and stuff like that and how to kind of keep myself
Yeah.
okay. And I was like, all right, well, no, not anymore.
No.
Now I'm just like, I'll just pull out the gun and shoot them because
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a couple months. This is like
It's
I
fun.
think it's fun, but it's so exhausting because you need to be there for every second. You can't like those 2-3 minutes feels like 30 minutes.
Yep.
Right, it does it.
Your
6
hands-
minutes. 6 minutes feels like a very long
6
time.
minutes
when you're
feels
rolling.
You want to
Really
get your
long
hands
time.
tired and your forearms
Yeah.
tired?
I tried
Go
it
do
once
jujitsu.
actually when I moved to Vegas.
Yeah.
I was
It's,
like,
do you like it?
Not really.
But you are competitive. I would have thought you liked it.
I like the grip fighting when you're like sitting there and practicing and you're doing grip
Yeah.
fighting.
I did Krav Maga. I'm a little bit sneaky.
Okay.
I just wanted to learn how I can make it the easiest way, like with less effort.
I got a hold of one of the guys. Ace is his name. He's a black belt now. He was a brown belt at that time, or I think he just got his black belt. And Greg would only put me with the black belts, or Frank would only make sure I was with the black belts because they wanted to make sure I didn't get hurt. And so, I'm on the grip fighting him, and I grab a hold of both sleeves, and he rolls his arms around thinking it's going to break my grip, and his gi tore.
Wow.
I was like, I think I got you. And he's like, yep, yep. He's like looking at the holes in his gi. He's like, that's a new one. I'm like, sorry.
That's probably the only time that's happened to him.
Probably.
Before
Yeah,
or
like I
since.
really wouldn't want to fight against you or any strong man. Like,
Yeah, I don't-
just the
I
sheer
don't wanna fight
mass.
anybody.
Like, the
They don't
mass.
fight. We don't fight
Yeah.
though. We're like
That's
the nicest
something-
people ever.
That's something I really love about strongman. I don't know if it's just from outside, but I feel like you guys are friends. Even,
are.
Even when you guys compete after the show, like on
Yeah.
the breaks, you guys are friends.
Yeah.
And not just
sure.
hating each other.
There's only a couple guys that really just don't care for each other very much. Eddie and Thor legitimately
Yeah, I mean, they
aren't
have
the
a
friendliest
beef, yeah.
to each other anymore. But, I mean, time will tell with that. I mean,
I think they're never going to be friends, but
they're
That's
both
okay.
still pretty young. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
True.
both in their early, mid-30s, so they could,
Some of that wears off later
10,
on.
15 years
Yeah.
from now, they
Once their
still-
legacies are set.
Yeah,
and
which
every-
they are. Their legacies
Well,
are
well,
set.
yeah, yeah.
but that's
yeah.
just like two people. But I feel like the rest of the strongman
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
You can literally go to any country and have friends. Like I was actually just on FaceTime with one of my best friends that we competed together
Yeah.
at the Arnold, and she's over in Australia, and I lived with her for a month. I've been over there a couple times, and literally we competed against each other.
That's so.
So-
In bodybuilding, you could not do
Well, I
that.
think it's
No.
the shallow
he
effect.
would hide your stuff like
Yeah.
he's against me. I need to sabotage this.
Well, here's some of the things that bring that on. The older guys all teach the newer guys this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back in the day, World's Strongest Man wasn't the way it is now. They actually help the guys. The guys get to bring their own coach. The guys get to bring,
wow.
their wives back there. Back in that day, our wives weren't allowed back there. Coaches weren't allowed. It was just us and two, PAs.
So that's why it became like
And
friendly. Or
the only time you got any help loading the bars, spotting the bars, doing anything with warm-ups, we all had to help each other because nobody was helping us.
Yeah.
Literally,
So-
so we would always help each other and do stuff, pull on their suits, put on the straps,
Yeah.
just everything. We all did that together. And so we try to make, out of all the things, we try to make sure that carries on to the next generation.
And I
that's
think
why,
adding that to the fact that the outcome is it's a definite. It's not a subjective, shallow outcome where
Correct.
I think I look better than him. Or
No, like,
they
you
think he
can't
looks-
also be
No,
mad.
it's like he's
Well,
better than me.
At the end of the day,
yeah, he's better than you. You can't fight it. Like
Or-
Yeah, there's
that's a
no-
sport. That's what I like it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it is a sport. In bodybuilding, that's sometimes it's objective. Like he likes maybe
subjective,
a rounder
yeah.
muscle. He likes more cut. Here, like you lift it or you don't. Like it
he
is
likes
a-
the mass monster. He likes the
Yeah.
little shredded
That's it.
guy.
and that's
Yeah.
like you can't
Yeah.
be mad that somebody is better than you.
No.
Just go home and practice.
Especially
Right.
when they're
It's like that easy.
intense.
Sometimes you'll see like at a contest before the first event, people might not talk as much, but then after the first event,
Probably
usually-
because they are like in their
They're really-
zone.
exactly, and a little nervous. And then after the first event, which is usually pressing, everyone just kind of gets those jitters out.
And they're going
everyone's-
through the same process, so they know that you did what it took to get that little extra edge.
Yeah.
Like you put in that work that they're chasing, and they're
Right.
like, "All right, back to the drawing board. I got to dig in a little deeper for this next prep or this next."
Yeah.
And usually we know everyone's injuries and good events and
Oh, okay.
weaknesses, so we'll kind of look out for each other. Like there's usually there's two different types of strongman athletes. Like Nick said, you have to be kind of well-rounded and good at everything, but people that are known for pressing and deadlifting, more of that static strength, and then there's people that can move fast with a lot of weight.
Oh, okay.
I was that guy.
I was that girl. That's why when I first moved to Vegas, we were just talking about it. I moved here 3 years ago, July 1st, And a week later, that Saturday, I texted Nick. I was like, hey, I just moved to Vegas. He's like, cool, come over and train. I hit a farmer's PR in his
Wow.
driveway, but it was 110 degrees. And so I was learning how to train, you know, because I'd competed elsewhere, but
In
I've
the
never,
heat.
In the
in the
dry.
desert, in the dry. I didn't even need chalk. It was totally different.
It's
But then I had to
so-
go inside for a little break. He's like, do you have enough electrolytes?
Yep. And we had to cool off the handles too.
Yeah, we put, we had the towels over them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That probably this last year, if Mitchell would have done that to the frames, he probably would have won
They were so hot.
because he's not going to drop that frame.
Good point.
I'll send you that video because that was,
We can maybe even
So
put
would,
it in.
would
yeah.
you say that now that we're talking about being in Vegas in the heat and the dryness, when it comes to the diet and the hydration, would you almost say you put more effort into really dialing in how to figure out the hydration issue when it comes to that
You-
sport over the diet?
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to.
That's always important,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, if you can figure out hydration and then diet, you're going to be golden anywhere you go because if it's you're going to be fine if it's cool. You're not going to have any issues. But if you go someplace where it's hot and humid, you're going to know how to replenish and be rehydrated faster than everybody else.
Is
I
the
mean,
world's strongest man always in the same place?
No, it's
No.
all over the place. It's going to be in Sacramento this year.
So it can be one year
May.
a little bit warmer than the other years.
Oh yeah, or they would be in South Africa and Botswana during their hot season. It would always be a nice location, but it's usually in their slow time, which is the summer, because nobody wants to come and bake in the heat.
Yeah.
So we would end up in those locations in the heat. And so
So-
Malaysia was really hot.
Oh, wow.
China was really hot. The Philippines was really hot. All those times was
humidity.
during
Oh,
their
humidity.
summers. Yeah, and the humidity,
Different.
100% humidity.
So
When
how,
I-
what changed in the like world's strongest man? Let's say 20 years before till now. What evolved? Like
Well, the athletes evolved a lot. The implements. Brian and Z completely changed the sport because they took it from, guys doing 800-pound yokes to 11, 12, 13, 1,400-pound yokes. And same thing with frames and log and all that stuff. They took, and the women's sport is going through that now. So they're a little behind with that, but it's catching up. Now the weights are getting super freaky, but the
Yeah.
girls are getting hurt more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just talking about that the other day because the main difference. So when I did strongman, I haven't been competing in it. I moved on for like 4 years. 2020 was the last time I competed, and I remember it was cool to hit a 500-pound deadlift as a woman, or 405 for reps was kind of unheard of, and like, all right, that's pretty cool. Now at this past Arnold, there are girls deadlifting 650 pounds. 500 is nothing. You have to.
Wow.
You got to be over 600.
You have to be over
yeah.
600 pounds to deadlift as a woman.
and the organization, like, is it better than back in the days or?
Oh, the
like,
organization's better.
way better. So
Yeah, the way things are run are a lot better. The equipment is way better.
And that's one of the things I actually wish we had kind of the rickety, crappy equipment because I think that's an advantage because I think people are too spoiled now.
Well, they are, but
Yeah.
they're a lot safer than
Yeah.
they were because you're not relying on one bolt like this to hold 1,100 pounds on a yoke together and
Yeah.
it breaks. and then
Nothing
you gotta-
hurts worse than an old-fashioned yoke, though.
I do love it.
I love an old-fashioned
Who
yoke.
would you say would be, who you would give the credit to for taking it to higher and higher levels of efficiency within
Within the equipment and stuff?
within the whole organization as it evolved? You said it got better.
Well, it's just...
Is it just a group? Or
It's a group. It's Rogue and stuff like that coming with better equipment.
Okay,
Stuff like that over time. Just building better things. I mean,
yeah, they're doing cool equipment.
Yeah.
I love that thing where they lift this thing up and walk around the
Conan's
the Conan's
wheel.
wheel.
That's my.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
I love that one, too.
Yeah, they designed that a little different from the way it used to be, so it's a little better. They also know not to do it in the sand anymore.
And I saw also that Brian Shaw has now since a couple of years his own classics. And I think he, like you
He's-
said before,
oh my
he's
God.
putting a lot into this
The
sport.
innovation
It's
he's coming
crazy.
up with. Well, but he also figures out ways to make it exactly even too. Like when the barrels drop down in that chest press that he does, they drop down exactly the same for every single athlete.
yeah.
When the barrels drop down at World's Strongest Man, they go in the front, they go in the back. They go different for every single guy.
That
You try to
matters,
get them
yeah.
the same, but if those things end up in the front a little more, you're getting 20, 30 extra pounds, where if they end up in the back, it's 20 or 30 pounds lighter.
Do you think ever like the Brian Shaw's classic going to be bigger than World's Strongest Man?
Well,
It's got potential.
Brian's going to do the best he can to make the best contest possible for the sport, period. If it ends up becoming the best one out of everybody and paying the most, his goal is to pay out $1 million in prize money.
I mean, the thing is, what I like in the strongman.
No,
it is not.
The thing that's going to do that is the live stream.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's the problem. Like, for instance, the World's Strongest Man, you can't watch live stream.
But it's a TV show.
It's a TV show.
And it's paid for by the networks.
Yeah.
You see it way later.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
IMG
saying. Like,
so
I wish it would be live stream.
It changes the game. For
but
sure.
it's a TV show.
The
so
more people watch,
how
it's
do
like
you-
ESPN or
if they did
but
it
they're
live,
shortening up.
well,
Like,
if they did it live like Rogue did, not a problem. But they don't do it live like Rogue does. They want the television production. They want to go into editing. They want to do all.
yeah,
that.
and they're shortening up because nobody's gonna watch 8 hours. So they probably.
You know what? That's
would-
not what the live stream says.
Exactly.
No, we would watch it, but I feel like those television project they always shortening it out.
Well, look at their ratings for Rogue, for CrossFit, or I don't know what they're going to call it now.
Yeah.
But look at the ratings that they got on TV. They got good ratings. Their YouTube
Yeah.
channel, people were watching the
I
heck
love
out
it.
of that. So as time goes on and the regression from television networks to streaming networks
Yes.
and just streaming things, what would happen if a Netflix picked it up? What would happen if something else picked, one of the Amazon or one of the other Hulu pick it up? I mean, it could really be limitless with how much people watch it.
I'm sure the
like
capital
you could,
was it.
Yeah, you could make a doku, like how somebody like Mitchell preps for that show.
Right.
And that would make the sport way bigger. And I feel like back in the days, like I always thought, I also thought the same about powerlift. I thought they just eat whatever they want, and I love to see Brian Shaw, like how scheduled he eats, how clean he eats, and I think this
Quality of
opened my
food.
eyes. Like that opened my eyes. But I always tell to people, no matter what profession you do as a sport, if you don't give your body the professional food, you're not going to be good.
No.
Well,
Like
that's
you're
why,
just leaving performance out on the way.
That's why I want to do an eating contest so bad. I'd love to watch you and Brian. Brian kicks your ass on the eating contest. I feel like you really can't
Are
even
you
eat
a
that
big
much.
eater? Are you a
I feel
big
like you
eater?
don't
Is
eat
he a
that
big
much,
eater?
Nick.
You look like you're another big eater.
I don't like to eat, but I do eat.
But you look like somebody
When
you
I was-
eat because you need to eat.
When I was 325, I was eating about 9,000 calories a day, and that was rough. But I did it.
Yeah.
Was I eating the 14 or 15 that him and Eddie were eating? No,
That's
not even
insane.
close.
Yeah, like the amount of ground beef he eats, I'm like, this is insane.
I mean, I still eat 2 to 3 pounds of ground beef every day.
yeah, and funny is, I have on my YouTube channel a clip I made one day. I ate like Brian Shaw, and you can ask my wife. It took me 24 hours, but I felt so bad. Like we bought literally 5 pack of ground beef. It was the worst day of my life. I'm like, I don't know why I did that. At the end, like just 200 people watched the video. I'm like, oh, I never do it again.
That's like Eddie Hall did a day eating what he used to eat, but now when he's lost
But he
some
was
weight,
eating
healthy.
trash. Like he was
Yeah, it
between
wasn't-
meals, like Mars, Snickers,
Yeah,
like,
he was
yeah.
ice cream.
Yeah,
Like,
his
Yep.
goal was to be over 200
Yeah.
kilos.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that was I think that ended his career because if he would have done it cleaner, he would have had a longer longevity in the sport.
yeah, I think so. But I think what his goals were, I mean, I don't know anybody that's really capitalized on winning more. Even Mitchell's really capitalized on it. But Eddie's still
Yeah.
That first year he made millions just doing appearances. Like I think he was home 2 whole weeks
Wow.
after we won for that whole
I
year.
didn't know that strongman do so many appearances.
Yeah, World's Strongest Man. Yeah, you.
So where you get
Yeah.
booked, like gyms or openings
Every
for businesses?
gyms,
convention,
openings for
every
business,
convention,
all
yeah.
the conventions. I mean, that's one thing I was kind of bummed about COVID and stuff is our TV show hit,
Yeah.
and where I was going to get to go to all the conventions and all this
But
stuff.
the TV show was amazing.
That all collapsed,
about
but
that,
it's
yeah.
still.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I quit. I mean, I loved working at Nevada Beverage, but I'm so glad I did what I did because I would have kicked myself the whole rest of my life when that show came
Yeah.
out. I really would have.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's one of what I wanted to ask. Like, you are not a big eater, so was that like, I think as a strongman, if you don't like to eat, that's a
Well,
that's hard.
But two philosophies for me. One is I don't want to carry a whole bunch of extra useless weight. And two, if I get up to 400 pounds, how many, like, 50, 60-year-old 400-pound men do you see?
Good, very good point.
Yeah.
Very few. And I like to do things and stuff like that. So I never wanted my weight to get so high that I couldn't get it back to a manageable weight. Like right now, I feel great. I'm going to come back up to about 300. You know, for the powerlifting meet, I'm going to do a couple powerlifting meets I'm going to do this year. And then OSG at the end of the year, I'm going to come back and do that again.
Nice.
So how was it for you in your career? I don't know how women are. Do they also need to eat a lot, or is it like a little bit different?
So, yes, I ate more than I ever had in my life my first 2 years because I was trying to get up and be in the middleweight category. So the middleweight category stops at 180. And it's funny because I never thought I could be 180, and I got up there no problem. And by my second Arnold, I was cutting to get to 180.
Wow.
But it was the first year. So when I stopped being an endurance athlete and then got into strongman, I remember I put 16 pounds on.
Yeah, because you don't do endurance.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought I was eating a lot now, but I recall what I was eating back then. I was also young, had a fast metabolism. I would go to Chipotle after nearly every training session and then go home and have I ate a lot of ice cream. And then I was at work. I had a corporate job, and they'd always have treats. I never really said no to treats. I remember I didn't start. So I got up to almost 180, and then I decided to cut back down to 160 to try and hit a record. And that was like my hardest cut. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. I think I realized I put on too much muscle. But it was kind of during that cut that I was like, oh, cool. I dieted for like 8 days, then did a water cut, and I have abs. This is fun. So that's when I kind of got in the back of my mind, like I wanted to always try and have a good physique while I was, competing in strongman. And if you look at the middleweight women, we kind of got a lot of attention because people would say like, oh, I thought strongman were fat and out of shape. And then you'd see
That's
all us.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
you'd see all us middleweight women, and we would, at the Arnold, when we had open weight classes, middleweight would usually take the top 3. We would beat the heavyweights because they could kick our ass at static stuff. But when it came down to, all 5 or 6 events over the course of 2 or 3 days, we lasted longer. Like by the third day, all the heavy girls were pretty dead. But all us women, we all had similar builds. We're all about like 5'5" to 5'10", solid muscle, look kind of like CrossFit athletes, all have really, really big traps. So we all kind of looked similar. Yeah.
So that's something I've also always wondered. How you guys even prep between, like when the event is 4 days or a few days, you feel so beat up after the first day. How you recover from that?
Epsom salt baths, food.
Ice baths.
Yeah, ice baths. I would try and put my feet up against a wall because my ankles were oftentimes really, really swollen. We had people on site, thank God, because very common to, if a deadlift was in like the first day, hurt your back, or a car deadlift, or
So they give you some massage therapists.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
nice.
yeah, you need that.
They had like a World's Strongest Man and a couple of the like Brian's got a great, unbelievable, fitness
Yeah, the
crew and stuff
PTs.
like there that help with IVs. They help with chiropractor, massage therapist, everybody that's there that you would need to get ready for the next day. There's ice baths there. He's got everything all set up at his shows. I mean,
So how many days is it normally the max?
when I first started, we had 4 days to do 6 events. So it would be 2, 1, 2, 1, or any combination of that. 2, 1, 1, 2, any combination of that. And then you had 3 days to rest, and then you had the 2 days of the finals. 3 events one day, 3 events the next day. That's what it was in 2010 when we started. And it is now evolved to 3 events one day, 3 events the next day, 1 day off, 3 events
Wow.
one day, and 3 events the next day.
Insane.
That's insane. That's 12 events.
Yeah. So you have to
Recover.
You have to be in good shape, which is also bringing the
why,
body
yeah.
weights down.
Yep.
But the static strength's still going up. It's not the heavy weights aren't backing down a little bit. They've figured out, between 1,000 and 1,100 pound yoke, the guys don't get hurt as much. So we're going to bring that down a little bit. It's still super hard, You still have a third of the guys that are like, takes them a minute to get it across, and you have a third of the guys that are like, bing, and they go, and they're done in like 10, 15 seconds. So it's a good thing to where you can see it's heavy, you can see it's light, you know, for other guys. You can tell the difference between the good and the bad guys. But they're holding together more. So they're getting smarter with the events. They're eventually, probably the next year and a half, start figuring that out with the women, because a lot of women have been getting hurt lately.
Yeah.
Because the weights keep going, doosh, doosh, doosh. You know, you got women pulling 700 pounds now.
So is
It's
it
pretty
is that,
badass.
is that also like strategies? Like
That's
it's
what
so
I was gonna
interesting
say,
for me. Is there a strategy? Let's say one of the events you really suck. So do you just try to go through that without to injured?
You try to get as many points as you can without putting out a lot of energy.
Yeah, so because you can use that then for the next one.
And do you get to choose your strategy of layout of those events, or are they preset for everyone?
Oh, no.
You don't
See,
know.
I've never
you
got to
don't-
dabble in that
Yeah.
world
You
at
don't
all.
know what's happening.
That's my favorite part about the sport.
Yeah.
Like when people think
So
that there's something similar
Yeah.
between powerlifting and strongman, there's not. And there's
No.
two. I think it's funny that you do both, because you're definitely more of a strongman personality. Like powerlifter personality is like more type A. They want to know what they're doing. Strongman, you just have to
Be ready.
be ready, because
Yeah.
even that day at like the highest level, you might think that you're doing one event and then something happens overseas where they can't get that exact implement set up.
Which has happened more times than I can count.
So I remember one time, actually at Norway, we were supposed to have a truck pull where we were sitting down and our feet were against something and we were pulling
Like
it
an
like this.
arm over arm, yeah.
And then something happened. So the next thing we knew, we had a harness and we were pulling the truck, the 18 uphill. 18-wheeler up, yeah. I was like, this is insane. We didn't really move it far, but we all, you know, they told us like 2 minutes before the event
That's
that would
crazy.
change.
Yeah.
And that's one of the strategies, actually.
That
is-
sounds like that would get dangerous.
Whoever can basically look at something and figure it out better than everyone else, which is what Mitchell's.
Yeah.
Mitchell and Brian Shaw are probably and Magnus Magnuson back in the day. I used to think Magnus was the smartest of all of them, because he would figure that they designed those things for him not to win. He still won. And Magnus was like at the epitome of, you know, smart figuring out events in the strongman, which is why he's one of the judges, because he looks at you and goes, you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't do that, and you're like, okay. So Brian was also very good at that, and now Mitchell's ungodly good at that.
But is there like still a
And
structure?
he'll also listen to people too, though. He'll walk up
Feedback,
and ask you what
yeah.
you think.
Yeah.
But is there still a structure? Like there's some sort of a pull, or like is there a structure that it needs to be something like that, but you
They'll
don't
say
know
truck
exactly.
pull. They'll say truck pull.
That's it.
It could be an airplane.
That's crazy.
It could be a truck.
I didn't think of that.
It could be a bus. It could be a semi.
That's
You just
crazy.
don't know, but you know you're going to have one, so you train it.
Yeah.
You have to train it two ways. You do it really light, so you do it really fast. So, which sometimes you got to pull the thing really fast. They like mess up on the tire pressure, because most people don't know, but they let the air out of the front tires of the bus
Make
when
it
they do
even
a bus
harder,
pull
right?
for like 2 minutes each tire.
Oh my god.
Most people don't know that, and
That
so
makes it
So you
much
don't even know
harder.
a roundabout weight of what you'll be pulling.
no, you just know it's
Heavy.
going to be hard.
Holy
Their goal,
shit.
the goal, is to set it up to where the top guys finish in about 45 seconds.
Wow.
You have most of the guys finishing in just under a minute, and you have 3 or 4 guys that can almost make it at the minute.
The one that dies.
No,
No,
thank
I'm
God.
joking,
But-
I'm joking.
But that's so crazy. You don't know what's happening. Like
yeah,
That's
one of
insane,
the craziest
So
part.
you train the truck
yeah,
pull.
you need to train everything.
One week you train to pull it fast. The next week you train to pull it super heavy.
Yeah. So from a training standpoint, because I always really liked programming for strongman, I did it myself. What I would do is I actually didn't practice events more than 12 weeks. That was my max. Once I became familiar with all of them. In the first year, I always practiced events like
If you get in that
all day on Saturdays. That was my life for 8 hours. Like just try all the events. But then once you know how to do the events, you know how to nail the technique. You have to be careful not to get injured, and you're not going to get stronger at a yoke just by doing it over and over. It's
Very
just going to
true.
fry your
Not like
CNS.
powerlifting. It's not. Yeah.
So so from a programming standpoint, usually what I would do when I was 12 weeks out is I would look at all the events, write them down, ask myself, where is my strength level right now? Could I do this? Yes or no? Most times it was no. So I was going to build up to be able to hit that heavy weight on that day. Because like I said earlier, static events were hard for me. So let's say I had like a 220-pound log as part of a medley. And I was like, okay, I know right now I could hit like 185 or so. what I would do is every week in training from a linear progression standpoint, try and go up 5 pounds and for 3 weeks. Every 4th week in strongman, I would take a total deload, and I needed it because I was training 4 or 5 days a week. Like I said, on one day a week would be 6 to 8 hour training session.
Wow.
And because now I never can deload that frequently, but I needed it.
And then how many days a week before the competition you really come down with your training?
I would pull my last heavy deadlift 2 weeks prior.
I was going to say.
Last
probably
heavy press.
3 days.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3
Wow.
weeks.
My last heavy
Wow.
press was about 12 days. And I fine-tuned this as I became better at the sport. I tried 2.5 week, 3 week deloads. That didn't work for me. I felt like I was slower. But also his size.
He's bigger.
Yeah, I was going to say his size
It
versus
takes more.
mine.
Well, my last heavy pull is 3 weeks out. The next week, I do block pulls or rack pulls.
Yep.
Ungodly heavy. So if I was trying to rep, say, 800 pounds for 5, I would go up to 1,100 pounds or 1,200 pounds on block pulls and try to pull 8 to 10.
And sometimes you have to take a longer deload. I remember.
And that'll just fry your CNS.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks out. The next week, I'd pull 500 for reps, pull it for like 20, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
it's not very uncommon either to get an injury when you're about a month
weeks
out.
out, yeah.
How many years in would you say that you sort of developed that approach? Do you fine-tuned it to feel that's the sweet spot for max performance?
I really kind of started. It was probably the 2nd or 3rd year in. I did IFSA Worlds, learned a lot at that contest, like a ton, because they split in 2004 and 2005, 2006, and 2007. Everybody but Marius was so Z, Vasil Vastruk, Misha Kukliev, all those guys had went to IFSA.
Okay.
And so I went to IFSA Worlds in 2006, and it was all heart. It was all grit. I didn't know what I was doing, and it was rough, but I came back from there. I made the top 10. I made 9th. I made the finals. I set a world record. Nobody expected me to do much. They're like, oh, you're just lucky to be here. And I'm like, okay, Yarno, cool. You won't even be able to pick the yoke up. And I think I got 3rd or 4th in the yoke, which I think they messed up my time. But I still went really fast with it, not even really knowing how to do it. And I was like, okay. I learned a lot at that contest. I paid attention to Z. I paid attention to Seal. I paid attention to the guys that were at the top, looking at what they did, how they did it, and stuff like that. And I came back and put something together where I do kind of like a 3-week rotation where this event this week, so say deadlift for reps 1 week, the next week I pull heavy, the next week I do block pulls. 1 week I do yoke, the next week I do farmer's walk because the foot movement's the same. And then the next week I'll do farmer's walk light for speed, the next week I'll do yoke light for speed, and then heavy, heavy, light, light, heavy, heavy, light, light on a 4-week rotation with that. And so I didn't realize it was conjugate.
Yeah, right. Now when you say light, obviously it's probably not what I would call light. What percentage of a difference from your heavy to light would you say is around about?
So heavy, I was trying to do like 1,000-pound
Okay.
yoke for 20 meters in like 10 to 12 seconds. And then I'd try to do a 700-pound yoke for 20 meters in like 7.
That's your light?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I thought you were gonna say like 200 or something. Like
No.
Just
So-
that little bit is because damn.
So what do you think, how important is genetic, especially now in strongman? Because like I heard from both of you guys, it was very easy. For you, you came into it and you were good. You even didn't know what you do and still plays good. So
Yeah.
like, for instance, in bodybuilding, if you don't have a genetic, you still come to a certain place.
Correct.
But then you can't. How is it like in strongman?
It's similar, but to get into the top 30 in the world, to get to World's Strongest Man or OSG finals for any of the big contests, you're still going to be a genetic freak.
For sure.
There's the genetic freaks from 15 to 30, and then there's genetic freaks from 15 to about 7, and then there's genetic freaks from 7 to about 4. And then you have the top 3 that are just,
Aliens.
yeah, they're superhumans. like Brian, Z, and Thor, and those guys just going after each other. You're just like,
Well, because as you get higher, I mean, little things genetic-wise, like what I would imagine be someone that's born with an inherent, like, digestive issue. Because if you could be the greatest athlete and have the most drive, but if you get to a genetic peak where you just don't have the guts to process.
you got to be able to digest the food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you
Stan
say?
made a
What
big
is a good
deal
genetic
about-
for? Let's say this. What is
Effort,
good genetic for being a strong man? What are the compounds?
Big back.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a super strong back. You're going to have some type of athletic background between football or basketball, something where you're moving a lot and you have very
Like
good
you.
coordination,
Footwork.
Dynamic movement. Yeah.
dynamic
Yeah.
movement, and then you have to have determination, discipline,
The heart.
and you have to have heart. I mean, you're not going to be anywhere if you don't have heart.
The
I
pain-
far overexceeded my talent level.
Yeah, the pain tolerance has to be up there too, because
Yeah.
you'll see like Eddie Hall. I saw him, pull his bicep and keep going.
Yeah.
What?
Like you'll
Oh,
see,
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you'll see some
Yeah, the
crazy.
strongmen
shit.
are really crazy.
I tore mine, and there's no going.
Yeah,
In the moment.
I tore this one.
Distal?
Yeah, the muscle belly. What was it?
Oh, shit.
5 weeks before IFSA Worlds in 2007. I still went and I missed the finals by a point.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, like that's
So-
That was an
that's
actual
crazy.
tissue
The
tear,
genetics
right?
you
Yeah.
need.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
We're all
What the
injured at the high level. Like
Yeah.
we like joke about it.
Yeah, but that's normal. Like, I hate when people when I tell people I'm a professional bodybuilder, they say, "But that's so unhealthy." Which professional sport is healthy?
Nothing.
Not many.
Soccer, football, it's nothing is healthy
Not at
because
the
you go
extreme.
over your limits. You can't be in something very good and do professional and be healthy.
I think about that a lot now, actually, because I thought I was untouchable. I remember when I was like 22 training for it. I moved again. I went to a gym where they were the best in the world at strongman. They would always tell me like, "Hey, Britt, like, slow down a little bit. You don't need to just because you're strong." Like, and I was like, "What's wrong with them? Why would I slow down?" And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, okay, I see what they meant, because now it's hard to get out of bed most days. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I want to
like,
say the
it's
same.
Yeah, wear and
shoulders,
tear,
Standing
wear and
upwards.
tear.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Well, I had two guys that were super highly influential in my training. One was Ed Cohen.
Oh, I know. I met,
yeah, I love it.
I met Ed Cohen. He was.
I still call him up. But Eddie, he's like, "Oh, they look great after the first one." He goes, "But man, you got to work on pulling the first one off the ground." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'll work on getting my head back up and doing stuff."
That's
But-
awesome.
So I mean, but I love that guy to death. And then Bull Stewart of all people, he was probably the best ADFPA USA powerlifter back in the day. He won like 12 straight nationals, and at 242 he had squatted 865 and I think pulled 832, tested. So he was
Badass.
so, but guys would come up to him and ask questions all the time, and he'd come up. I'd be like sitting with him, and he's like, "Man, you're doing good. You come up, you get a little stronger every year. You keep put 100 pounds on your total every year, 33 pounds on each lift." He goes, "You're gonna be tough to beat pretty soon." And this is like 93, 94
Wow. Okay.
that he was telling me this, and I'm like, "Okay." And I won in 96 and 97.
Wow.
He saw it.
Yeah, it's
He
so. But it was kind of neat because he's like sitting there and guys are asking for advice. He's telling them all this stuff. He goes, "Ignore everything I just said." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Do you have a training journal?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you have it with you?" I'm like, "Yeah." Pulls it out and starts lining through stuff. This is too much. This is too much. This is too much. This many sets, 8 to 10 sets total. That's it. You're done with that muscle group. This one over here. This one over here. And rotate it this way. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
overdoing is a thing. Like even in bodybuilding, I always thought more is better till you learn it's not. And I think that's in every sport.
Yeah.
But that's like when you want something so bad, you like waiting is harder. Not doing is harder than to do.
And like Dorian Yates and the heavy duty with Mike Benson
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Those really, the way they came in and just annihilated it and they were done.
Yeah, I mean, it's about breaking the muscle down. How often can you break a muscle down? If it's breaking down, it's breaking down.
The question is, in strength, what's the most important thing that needs to heal?
Technique and like
The
nervous
nervous
system.
system.
What's the most important thing in strength for it to heal? For it to be totally healed before you train again?
To apply for recovery. rest, right?
Ligaments or like
Tendons and ligaments. It doesn't matter how fast your muscle heals. It matters how fast your connective tissue heals. And that's what everyone in this sport has wrong. And
Wow. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
No, that
Louis
happens in
Simmons,
bodybuilding too.
Louis Simmons hit it on the head. He just got the rest cycle wrong. And I just saw a thing on Elite Lifts with Dr. Mike, and I forgot the female doctor's name, and I hope she doesn't kill me for this. But they were talking about like tendon injuries and how long it takes to recover for them, and muscle injuries and how long it takes. Yeah, if you hurt your muscle, it takes about 2 months to recover. But if you hurt your tendons and have them reattached, it takes about 6 months to recover. I'm like, you guys just nailed it on the head, but connect the dots.
Exactly.
Well, and a lot of times people, and I'm guilty of this, they think it's just like an ache because it's hard to tell. Like a pulled muscle, you pretty much know what it is. But with a tendon issue, it's kind of easy to ignore because
It's
I mean,
phantom,
I do it all
yeah,
the time.
real
I'm like,
thing.
oh, I can just wrap
Those are
this
the
or
ones you don't ignore.
Yeah,
yeah.
and especially
But
like
people do.
when you start a new sport, the muscle grows so fast, and I had that problem. I got always so fast strong, but the rest was not used to, like my ankles, and I have really small ankles and knees, and they're like they are not getting used to, and then you get problems there, not the muscle. It's like the joints.
If the muscle gets stronger faster than the connective tissue, you're going to run into
Yes.
it. It's not a question of if you are going
gonna.
to. And then it's how fast can you heal from that and how fast can you learn from your mistake. And what I was saying is they hit it on the head. If muscle heals in 2 days, tendons heal in 6 days. Convert that. Muscle heals in 2 days, tendons heal in 6 days, 6 to 8 days. If you're under 35, your tendon is going to heal in 6 days. If you're over 35, it's going to heal in 7. If you're over 45, it's going to heal in about 8. I'm on an 8-day training cycle right now, and I'm starting to get
I mean,
stronger.
I feel it.
Muscle
No
does
shit.
not atrophy.
Yeah.
Muscle does not atrophy till what day? 10.
10. I would have thought even longer.
10.
It depends on if you're.
You're not going to get smaller.
It
That's what I'm
depends
saying,
also if you're enhanced or not.
Well,
I would say if you're enhanced,
but it's still
you could really
it's,
train.
it's still not going to atrophy.
That's what I'm saying.
You just think
if
it
you're
is.
enhanced,
You're
if
just
you're
flat.
enhanced,
You're just
you
flat.
could probably for 2 months not do anything, and it wouldn't go away. If you eat
Well,
and
as long as you're-
yeah, that stuff, but like training wise,
yeah.
You mean strength wise, right?
strength training wise,
yeah.
Okay,
and just
okay,
training
okay.
wise.
Yeah.
If you train, as long as you get to train before that 10th day, you're not going to get smaller.
But that's so interesting because the other day I had a conversation with Dr. Mike. I told him, so if I train more often, I feel my muscle grows faster, but I don't get stronger. I'm like, how can you? And like we were talking about it.
You'll get stronger, but the muscles are going to get stronger, but the tendon and connective tissue
That's what I'm saying.
isn't going to adapt that fast.
Yeah, like I can't
You're going to
lift.
break the string on the piano.
I can't lift more when I train more often, but I get bigger. But when I do my lifts longer, for
bodybuilding.
instance, when I do leg day once a week, I get way stronger. When I do it twice a week, but it gets big. The muscle gets bigger, but I don't lift more.
That's the recipe, bro.
Yeah. So, but then you need to. What
I
you
mean,
want?
Meadows
Big,
even
what
talked.
you want?
Meadows
bigger-
even talked about
Yeah.
that. I got the guys that are coming to do a bunch of reps and they're doing this twice a week and they're getting bigger. I got these guys that are coming in training less but heavier and they're getting stronger.
Yeah. So.
You're working your muscle density
And
different ways.
I
Different
kind of
ways.
always, like, as I was a strength coach, still am. I kind of I think people get lost in the details like that, and they argue about what's better, and they look at science.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day,
It's about your goals.
yeah, but also you have to figure out what works for you. How you only know how quickly you can recover, but also sometimes it's like you just need to train hard. That's one thing I get really upset about.
Oh, yeah.
I get really upset
The
about
heart.
that when people are worried
That's the
about like
heart,
hitting
yeah.
68% on
Yeah.
a 5x5. And
Like
it's like,
rest and reserve.
Same
like,
with
what
my
the hell is
clients.
rest and reserve?
I've had a few clients like that where it's
Yeah.
like, I can give you everything, the best direction and information, but if you don't put some
But
ass
that's-
into it, nothing's going to change.
But
You got
that's
to
like
break
the
it.
social media. That's
Yeah.
the social media. They see like those one arm pull downs, and I'm like, just go on the
Oh,
gym,
apparently.
do some barbell row. That's how you're gonna grow. If you're already 300 pounds, you can do a one arm pull down.
Yeah.
But
well, according
how
to the
you want to
internet, I have no
grow?
idea how to train lats.
Yeah, like
My
Man,
back's the
imagine
slide,
how
but I
much your
don't know-
resume would have been with
yeah,
that.
no, but
I
that,
don't know how to
but
train
that's
that.
all the social media. They make everything more difficult than it needs to be. Like they bring out the new theories. I love Dr. Mike, and I agree with all the things, but I don't agree that I need to train a muscle 3 times a week. Like, I don't see any point of training my muscle 3 times a week.
I feel so lucky because when I really got into strongman, it was right in that, it was like 2013, 14. It was right in, people were just starting to like film some of their lifts, but the gym I went to, we actually weren't allowed to take our phone out.
Wow, that's
so
great.
That's a good gym.
I wanted that gym.
I am so lucky though, because, you know, now I talk to people that are younger than me, if I'm coaching them, they don't understand that. They think they need to film everything, which I understand, like sometimes you do, but there was also something to be said about not scrutinizing every lift all the time.
Exactly.
Just go in to train and have fun and enjoy the process.
I talked with Regan Grimes about that, and he's like, my whole career, we filmed always stuff, and he's like, I decided now I'm not doing it anymore because it just takes it away. He's like, I do exercises that maybe look better on the video instead of just doing whatever works.
Yeah.
And that's like the social media part. Like, what you need to be in social media to make money, but then to be a good athlete. Like, I'm a person in Turkey. I did a lot 3 times a week YouTube video, but it bothered me so bad. I just want to go to the gym and do my stuff. The
Because you're
cameraman
still-
asking me, "What are you doing now? Why are you doing that?" I'm like, I tell you if I tell you. Like, you don't need to. Like, I'm like, I'm working out.
That's the difference between an athlete versus an influencer. Everyone I talk to, we don't, like, it's still to this day, it is a struggle for me to film stuff at the gym. Like, I'll make myself do it, but I'll usually pre-plan it, because if I want to enjoy my lift and really get,
I
I
can't
don't
do
even
it
want to look
anymore.
at my...
Well, and that's
I don't care what other people think as I'm lifting. And I want to show the world that you don't have to fill the bag in when you're 30, 40, 50, 60. So I record the stuff that I do. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. But
you
I'm
do
still
it,
doing it.
You do it for other purpose.
Yeah.
For his purpose.
Not to look good.
Right.
People do that stuff like, oh, from which angle does it look good? Let me go this slide. Let me do this machine. That's not how you get better.
Well, I do think, like he was saying with the training, some of that accessory stuff that they're doing now, I think it does contribute to a little bit different aesthetic look to your muscle development. But I mean, obviously, it's not the most optimal
But
for,
I still
strength and everything.
Yeah,
But
I still think to grow from beginning muscle, you need to do compound exercise.
Yes.
You're not
For
gonna
sure,
get a
for
big bag with pulling 10 pounds from here, all controlled down next to your back and with up. That's not how you get a big bag.
Oh, I have a question
Like,
for you
when I
guys.
started lifting, we were going to the gym, watching an hour Ronnie Coleman in the TV. Me and my friend, literally, we were eating rice, watching Ronnie Coleman. Go to the gym. I did last week 40 pounds. Today I need to do at least 50. Like, I was. It doesn't matter if I can do it. I'm taking more weights. And now people are not like that. They're like, let me feel the muscle. Like, bro, you're 150 pounds. Just lift the weight. You're gonna grow.
Yeah.
Lift the weight. It doesn't matter.
I was going to ask you guys, so in powerlifting, there's 3 compound movements. When you said compound movements, it made me think of that. For a strongman, I like to say that there's 4. Do you know what the 4th one is?
Military press.
Good, yeah, strict
Yeah.
press. Yeah,
what's your
perfect.
favorite? Were you guys both of your favorite individual?
favorite?
If you have only one for the rest of your life, it's
I
the only
feel
one
like
you can
for
do
him
anymore.
is deadlift.
No, it's
No.
not actually. No.
What is it?
For you, it's, I think, you want to guess each other's?
No, go ahead.
I think I know yours.
Go ahead.
Is it yoke?
That's what I was going to
It's
say.
yoke.
Yoke.
Oh, yeah, okay, I figured.
It's yoke.
Do you know what mine is?
Shoulder press.
I'm not good at pressing.
Stones.
Stones, yep. Stones are my
Oh,
favorite.
yeah, yeah.
I love
That
them.
was the story earlier.
I
Yeah.
want to do that once.
She's really good at
I
stuff.
want to do it at least
Sweet.
once.
Come on over.
I'm gonna come. Look, that's something
Yeah.
I
Come
want to
visit
try.
me.
I
We
just
should all
want to
do it.
try. Like
They're the
this-
most like animalistic, fun, gross, disgusting. Like you might pee, you might get a
Puke.
bloody nose. Like,
Shit
but it
yourself,
just feels
yeah.
so good to like pick up a stone.
Well, so hearing you guys break it down, and I've had very little influence from that world of. I watched it on TV all growing up because it's just super cool to watch when you're a kid, and then as I got into fitness, it was like
Yeah.
you don't get the glory, but everyone that knows anything about fitness of any kind knows you guys are the badasses of all, right? But now that I hear this, it makes me think back because early on, I got into bodybuilding after I lost a lot of weight, and I liked it, but I wasn't a presenter. I'm not a person that enjoys trying to be like cocky and like arrogant with my physique and all that.
Yeah.
And you need some of that to be successful. And luckily, my genetics and whatever I did got me some lower level success. But looking back, I used to always wonder, like, man, I wonder if I should have done CrossFit because that. But now hearing you guys say this, it feels like that would have been my wheelhouse because I've found over the years that my sweet spot for where I'm at home is like long endurance, high performance, everything. Like
Yeah.
I just get I get stronger as I do it. Like
Yeah.
obviously not doing the things you guys. I'm not trying to say I could just walk into it. I'm just saying under heavy stress and high heart rate and max ability of, because I roughneck on an oil rig for 10 years too, right? So my tendons and ligaments. Now when you guys said that, it made me think. When I got into bodybuilding, I never had any issues with my body. I did this in the lake. I didn't do it doing any lifts, right? But it was deadlifts the day before. So that's so.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, I would have probably been like my sweet spot of sport to get into, because that's where I perform best. And when I train for bodybuilding, I would do too much because I'm doing, I would have been doing too much for that too, but I just enjoyed my heart rate's at the max and I'm just still going harder and heavier as possible until I just
I'm
totally.
opposite. I'm just being honest. I love training balls to the walls, but I have always in my mind, oh, this is gonna make me look bigger. This is gonna make me look better.
Yeah.
And I'm just honest. That's why I started.
Yeah, I never did it for a look.
Like I'm like, when I lift the weights, like I'm literally imagining how this is gonna affect my body. It's weird.
So here's
But it is really weird. But it's
I know, I can agree with that too, even as a strongman. So I'm not gonna lie, I was that girl that, like, if I podiumed, which I usually did, I would make sure that I did push-ups or something before I like flexed my bicep so I could flex it as hard, because I was like, I still want to look like jacked and big too. So I was always
yeah, I mean, everybody has a different. That's why I love Fit Club Unleashed. It's about why you're doing fitness. Everybody has a different reason. I started because I wanted to look better, and he's liking maybe to perform.
I just like working hard.
And you like just to lift heavy ass shit.
I like to lift heavy. And
Yeah,
I don't mind looking decent.
Yeah, I mean, you look more than decent.
I mean, here I am, I'm 56 and I have abs. So
Yeah.
it's like,
And you can pick up every couch in here at one time. Yeah.
So interesting
Think you're
is
doing
now
all right?
you switch now to bodybuilding. That's something I want to talk before we. So, what are the biggest differences? I mean, there is a lot of differences, obviously. When you would look back, would you say, I wish I would have started with bodybuilding earlier? Or do you say, it's now the time for it?
I wish I incorporated and learned more of the style of training and posing, because now, you obviously, like with strongman, you have injuries and you're favoring one side a lot, and that's very
Imbalance.
obvious with bodybuilding. The main difference is just the training is different and the eating is different, but it's kind of similar. Like, you still have to, I'll admit, like, strongman was my life. Like, I made it my career. I loved it. With bodybuilding, I will. If I fall in love with it more, I will. Like, I used to watch my strongman videos and pick, I would like pause it and see like how could I have been faster with that transition. I should do the same with my posing, but I don't. I sometimes wonder if because in my 20s that's like all I cared about. I didn't care about relationship. I didn't care about anything except strongman. I did that for 10 years. Wow. And with bodybuilding, sometimes I feel like I'd have to be like a monk to get.
Oh no, for sure.
Yeah,
So,
I try to. I was talking to Anthony about this like last night actually. Like, I need to have more of a balance because it's not realistic. How I was in my 20s isn't realistic to go about life unless I just want to be alone and train all day. Yeah,
you can't be social really at all, and not effectively social.
Bodybuilding in the highest level. I don't know how that is with strongman.
But there's a book by a guy named Harry Cruz. It's called The Body. You guys should read that someday. It is funnier than hell, but it's about the bodybuilding scene down in LA where the guys are training at Gold's in Venice and they're living in their cars, and some of the guys would wear diapers because they trained so hard they'd shit themselves and just kept right on going. It was pretty interesting.
I mean,
what years was this?
Bodybuilding takes
this book's
a lot.
like 20, 25 years old, easy.
Bodybuilding takes a lot of your life. I don't know how it is with strongman.
Strongman does too.
Because you're tired and you're from eating, from training. You're
eating, you're training, and then you're resting.
Yeah, you can't go out.
And so
you need
it's
to
like,
rest.
It's like, do I want to go out to a club and do? No. I want to sit down, maybe play some video games, or just relax with the family, chill out, and just
less stimulus.
And let my body heal. So you go for a walk or something, but you're not going to tax your body anymore until you're ready to go tax it again. So it's you sacrifice a lot.
Yeah, you sacrifice a lot.
You don't go out, you don't drink, you don't do.
But it's not really a sacrifice if it's your passion, though, right?
Correct.
And that's how I was with body. I'm sure you have to be that way.
Oh, I'm 100%.
You're like your Zen moment is like you're that much closer to hitting that goal by doing exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah.
But what is sometimes interesting also? What part of it you guys enjoyed most? For me personally, I hate going on stage. It sounds weird.
Same.
I did over 20 shows, and I'm a pro, but I don't like the part of going on stage. I like getting bigger. Love struggling. I love getting shredded. I love being hungry, tired, but I don't want to go on stage. Like I could say one day out. Okay, I'm done. Let's go back to off season. What part did you enjoy most? Being performing on that day, or like the process of building up?
I liked performing. Yeah. Like, I kind of always, when I was training, wanted to be, like, it was cool to be the strongest, don't get me wrong, but I kind of wanted to be, like, hidden. I didn't want anyone to see me, just want to train in my little corner, do my thing, and then when I'm performing, like, I felt like I was a different person. Yeah.
For you?
I like both of them. I like competing because I like doing things I'm not supposed to. People look at you like, you're not really a lifter, are you? I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm going to pick that up and go that way really fast. Faster than everybody else. No, I'm like, well, we'll see.
That's funny.
And
Like,
you're like, "Choom."
how people are different. And for instance, as a comedian, I don't know if you know, but I'm also a professional comedian.
Nice.
And as a comedian, it's the opposite. I hate the time till to go on stage, the work, the writing. But when I'm on stage, I'm like, this is the best.
Yeah, you're up there
Like,
having
I don't
fun.
want to go, this is just so amazing.
That's
And
funny, though, because you didn't like the competing part of the stage.
I hate that.
That's so but you like it.
In comedy, the opposite. I love to go up, but I hate the work to get there and be good. But when I'm on stage, it feels like I'm home. Like I'm there like my whole life.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. So a lot of the times I've always been like a very anxious, like ADHD kind of person. I'm always thinking about 10 things. I felt like I was writing about it once. I always made sure I wrote at every big contest. I would like go in the corner because I was like, I never want to forget this. Or if I have kids one day,
That's very
I want to
cool.
be
That's so cool.
able
That's very cool.
to put it in words. And I remember it would be like the calmest, happiest I ever felt in my life right before I went. Like I was never nervous. I would always close my eyes before my biggest thing and just picture myself doing it. And I was just like, I felt like a wave of just like pure ecstasy that came over me because, again, I'm not a calm person. When I was competing, I was that calm person. So
Yeah, that's something I had on my questions actually. So, what are you thinking before you go up and do a personal best, like a deadlift? Like I heard from Eddie Hall that he was thinking about his family is under the car and he wants to lift the car up. So, what do you guys think before you do a lift like that, where you think like I could get injured? Like you need to forget everything.
Don't
Like,
think
where are you going? Like when you have a lift like that.
So, I'll go first. Well, I actually got into kind of a little bit of an argument. I hired Josh Bryant, Jailhouse Strong, to help me with my overhead press once, and he was having me bench, and he definitely got my static strength up. But again, I wasn't very coachable in strongman because I wanted to do it myself. But he would tell me, like, yeah, for tips. But I never want anyone to do my
Maybe
training.
she didn't do it.
Yeah.
She asked him, like,
She did it. She did it because she's like, you're like, see, told you.
Two people, so he told me once, he goes, imagine there's a gun to your head. And I was like, don't ever tell me that again. That just doesn't do it for me. I'm never like an evil, like, I never am mad or anything. Like,
Really?
I'm calm. Yeah. And I'm usually thinking about just what I want to do. I'm
Just
not
analytical?
like yeah, just what I want to do and picture myself doing it. Getting angry doesn't help me with that. And my mom told me one time before, like a big deadlift, she's like, just leave something on reserve. And I got so angry because I was like, Mom, I don't care if I shit myself. Like, I'm going to get this deadlift.
But that's
then
interesting.
what do you think?
How do you get the intensity to spike?
What's
it's
then
an
the thought in
analytical-
your head?
Just that I need to do it because I want to win. That there's not really an
Yeah,
option.
for
Like,
me
Yes,
personally,
but-
when I really feel the worst, I always remind myself if I will look like shit on stage, how that feels. Or if I don't, I had couple times where I did second and not to hear your name, that it's like a punch in your face, like the second place, and like I always like thought about that when I'm like I don't want to do cardio now. I'm like you want to do cardio. So that's why I got that dark place. Like, what is the dark place you go?
I wouldn't say it's dark. I would just say it's extreme focus. And there is kind of a fight or flight in with that, but it's not an anger fight or flight. I'm going to focus every bit of my consciousness into one particular point,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to detonate it like a bomb. Except for the bomb exploding this way, it's going to explode in one single direction.
Because you see, even when people go to their deadlifts, sometimes they make them angry and like I'm like there's so personalities are so different.
Very much so. I mean, look at Evan Singleton. He comes up there, he bashes his head and
Bleeding. He'll
grabs
be
it
bleeding.
and just yanks it right off the floor. And you're just like,
Well, it's funny now that you've said that and I think about it. I guess it is kind of like that because I might think of something that gives me, not necessarily anger. Like you said, it's not really dark. It just gives me something that's like a doubt kind of thing. Like there's some kind of some version of doubt came in your life. That will be there. But then I was trying to think deeper. Once that thought passes, though, it's exactly what you said. It's not so much like, I got to win this or I'm going to beat this doubt. It's more of like, this is what I got to do. And every piece of what I'm doing to get it there has to be 100% so that I do it. And so it's sort of both. Now that you pointed that out, I never.
Yeah, every
I've always
person
looked
is
at it like
different,
you're
yeah.
saying. It's a raw intensity.
and once you get that in there, my biggest fault is once I'm in that zone and I'm about to go, don't get in my head anywhere.
Yeah.
You probably can't. It's probably really hard to.
Just get over here and wait till I'm done.
With his
If you
blast
try to
distance.
interrupt me when I'm about to blast, it is not the place you want to
Yes.
be when I'm about to go, bruh,
Yeah.
at the weight. Because
Yeah.
I'm focusing literally
I mean,
everything
I can't
that
imagine. Like I said,
into this.
I have a
And
very specific story about exactly that. So it was 2016 at the Arnold. Arnold Schwarzenegger himself was taking a selfie of me. Like I got like social media like famous from it. He helped me. I was on his Snapchat, and I remember. So they
remember that.
they put the gun off, and when the gun goes off, I know in my head I have about 1.2 seconds before I have to go. So I was holding the farmers. My line of vision was just straight ahead for my 60-yard course, and I was like, why aren't they going? They just gave me like the wave. I said I was ready. What the hell's going on? I was so upset. And finally, because it had been like 2 minutes, I
Wow.
averted my eyes and I was like, oh, cool. Arnold is taking a video of me right now.
Oh.
But I didn't really care. And, like,
Well, yeah, it's
obviously, I
Arnold,
thought it
yeah,
was
yeah.
the coolest thing
Not
ever.
then.
No, but I was like,
Yeah, exactly.
I was kind of like, he's just interrupting my focus, even though it was like the most important person here. And he's like an idol of mine. But it just, when you're that focused, like nothing really phases you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was
yeah.
almost like upset. I remember I was like, oh my God. My mom was like, did you not see Arnold was taking a selfie? I was like, I saw, but I wasn't about to not kill my event.
That's why I'm asking, because it's so different than bodybuilding,
Yeah.
because we don't have just a moment. So all the focus is in that moment, and I can't imagine how much focus goes in that.
It's
like
it's a lot.
You're so exhausted after. I remember after a contest, I would like sleep. I'm not really a great sleeper. I would sleep for like 8, 9, 10 hours and need to nap. Not even from my body hurting, just from that amount of
Nervous.
focus and like visualizing and
Adrenal.
Yeah. Just the amount of energy that you put into that. It's just like it's every focus of the essence that you are is going into this, because if I screw this up, I can go to the morgue.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And my friend, when I competed in bodybuilding, and my friend this past summer when I did Legions, he goes, oh, you didn't really look nervous on stage. And I remember I got kind of upset. I'm like, why would I be nervous? Nothing
Yeah.
bad's going to happen. Like, there was like strongman events where I was like, all right, I might die, or like this squat might kill me.
Right. There's nothing worse than being in a powerlifting meet and watching guys drop the bar and the bar hitting the floor because the spotters don't get you, and you're up 2 lifters later.
Holy shit.
That's crazy.
That happened to Larry Wheels.
Oh.
And I think I was up like 2 or 3 lifters after that.
We did the Olympia together too, the
Yeah.
cage. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You should say what you did.
With the deadlift?
The 600.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that was kind of crazy. I'd already dropped the bar on my chest and found out I had a tumor in my kidney.
That was 8 weeks prior.
Yeah. That was October 12th.
Okay.
That's like a month prior.
Okay.
And because I dropped it on my chest, I did OSG, then I came there and pulled. And I was mad because the deadlift didn't go the way I wanted to with OSG. He came in there, we put 600 pounds on. I pulled 15 reps in about a minute
Yeah.
with 600 pounds.
And I always just wanted to.
Yeah.
I liked squatting high reps. I was pretty good at it
You
from
did
being
a
an
ton.
endurance athlete. I didn't get my goal though, but I wanted to do 315 pounds times 20, And unfortunately, I had prepared for it for about 6 weeks. I was actually overseas. I was in Australia squatting at their World's Gym preparing for it. When I had this like knee issue and I was trying to just ignore it. And I had this like huge growth on it. So I ended up switching from high bar to low bar so I could still do it. So my squat was a little bit funky that day. I had never really squatted low bar before that day, but I was able to get 18. But that was just all grit, and that just reminded me of like strongman training because it's like even if you don't practice it, if you can just like mentally show up that day.
Yeah, that's what's special in that sport.
You put
really
your whole
need to
entire head into
You
it.
need to show up on that day.
Yeah.
As a bodybuilder, you go on stage, you need to pose, but
You're not there.
you're not lifting weights. You're not risking your life with injuries and
right.
stuff.
I'm going to say this: if Evan ever figures out how to put his focus into it, not his anger, not his aggression, not everything else. If he puts his focus into it, no one's going to beat him.
Wow.
Nobody. He's that gifted.
But that's the cool thing. For instance, for me, I always knew I'm not gifted for bodybuilding. I was just very disciplined because, like I said, I had complex, so I always wanted to do everything more than everybody else.
Right.
But then crazy is, I always tell that to my wife. By comedy, I'm the opposite. Because I'm gifted, I'm so lazy. Like comedians say, how many hours do you write per week? I'm like, writing? I'm like, I have sometimes thoughts when I do a walk and write it down. It's like, that's it? I'm like, yeah, that's it. And I think that when you are super talented by something,
good enemies.
yeah, when you're talented by something, you get lazy in the same time because it gets so easy.
But that's Brian.
Yeah,
That's Z. That's all the top guys that have that talent
and the discipline then.
and the discipline and
They
don't
make
get
it.
lazy. They do things that just aren't going to be done again. You know, it's just that simple. I mean, it's just
So when do we see you on stage in bodybuilding?
bodybuilding. Probably never.
You never did any version ever?
That would be cool, just for fun.
I was going to back. God, this is like 90, 91. I was going to try to do one. My body fat was down to like 6.1.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, but the frightening thing is that's kind of how I walked around. I didn't really do a lot of dieting, but I had a pair of rollerblades and I skated everywhere. And then I was playing football. Yeah, and then
I can't picture it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like,
I could actually ice skate, which is really funny. I was skating everywhere. I was playing football, and then I was training for powerlifting and everything all at the same time. And I was just that lean, and I was thinking about doing a bodybuilding show in Santa Rosa, California at that time. And a powerlifting meet was coming up, and I'm like, I had to make a decision. And I was like,
yeah.
The strength comes much more natural. I do not want to lose any more weight than this.
I'm gonna leave this to the people on the comments.
Okay.
So we're gonna set a number. I want to. By how many comments are you gonna do a bodybuilding show?
No.
Come on,
No.
that would be fun.
No. Look, I absolutely 100% respect everything that a bodybuilder goes through because there's no way I'm cutting my calories that much. I'm starving right now.
How much do you eat?
Huh?
How much calories do you eat?
Right now, I'm eating about 5,500.
So if no bodybuilding show, when's going to be your CrossFit competition?
That is probably more likely.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I would have to, I got to do some more work on my right shoulder.
Damn, I thought it would
I
have
mean,
been
I
the
tore
opposite.
this lat off, and when they surgically reattached it, I got this great range of motion now
Yeah.
that this
Now
one
you
doesn't
need to
have.
tear this one.
No.
They can reattach it again.
One was plenty. I'm good.
So you guys get along? I always heard that powerlifting strongmen people didn't get along with the CrossFit community.
Well, it's
I mean, nobody does.
at some point.
I did a CrossFit competition once.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
With
I was
honey.
bullied
That's
into
why.
it. Yeah, not bullied, but I was like, I have the attitude. I'm like, I will literally try anything twice. So I was like,
I mean, I have nothing against them. It's
I didn't
just
like it, but-
Everybody chooses, like I said, we said before.
But
as long you're happy with what
my
you're doing.
VO2 max is 68. I
Really?
can go and go.
That's a
and
lot.
Go and
Like
go.
for how big
No.
you are, you have
My
a good
fastest
condition.
mile is 5:15.
Would you do a
Holy
5K
shit.
before a bodybuilding?
You're running a 5:15 mile?
No, not now.
Oh, I was about to say.
like,
But
yeah,
when I was running and I
You're
was doing that, my fastest mile is 5:15.
That's insane.
You're a dangerous human being,
And
bro.
this is when I was playing football.
Would you rather do
That is
a
insane.
half marathon or a bodybuilding show? If you had,
Half
if you had to pick
marathon?
one. Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, you don't got to
Okay.
see his balls in
I
a,
take
in a
it
marathon.
back. But we're gonna do a video together.
Okay. I like the training for it. Don't
let's-
get me wrong.
Let's do, you do one time with me a bodybuilding workout, and I do one time with you guys strongman.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
That's a deal.
Yeah,
be
yeah.
fun.
Okay.
You're going to have him converted here
Yeah,
before it's
yeah,
over.
maybe. No,
Maybe.
I would injure myself. I'm way too competitive with stuff, and I get like
That's why you have
when
your
I
proper
set something
guidance.
in my mind.
That's why you have a good coach that
Yeah.
goes, no. This is the plan.
Shut
You're
it up
sticking
and
to
sit
the
down.
plan. I just did that myself.
but
Stop.
I'm down. I'm down. Let's do a workout together.
Okay. Now, don't forget about Fit Club. First rule of Fit Club: you don't talk about Fit Club.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But this is the opposite. Tell
Yeah,
people.
tell people. Actually,
Fitness.
it's very much
yeah.
the opposite.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about
Tell
it.
everybody how important is fitness, and that's what like fitness is not just looking good, feeling good, and if
Moving
you
good.
retire and you don't feel good, then like people always start with fitness when it's too late.
So-
you don't need to wait till you can't move anymore. You need to start before that point.
If you are going to invest in retirement
Then
and
need
you
to-
don't invest in your body, you're a fool.
Exactly.
If you're not going to invest in your body, do not bother investing for your retirement because it's not going to be there.
Thanks,
And
thanks.
we see you guys on a strongman and in I mean bodybuilding. You know bodybuilding, but I'm excited to train with you.
And all you can eat.
Yes, all you can eat.
I am gonna.
Yeah.
I am definitely.
I'm-
yeah, it's
All
on.
right.
It's on.
All
It's
right,
on.
it's on.
I'm told them we have to wait for it. I didn't want to do it
Okay.
today because I'm not really that hungry.
I found a place
I don't
that's got
wanna-
a giant tortilla.
I don't want to spoiler, but I did on Friday a food challenge. I ate 100 pieces of sushi.
100?
14 rolls. 14
right.
rolls.
That's a chunk.
Yeah. In 45 minutes.
Sometimes, and the last thing I'll say is, there's been times I forget what island we were on, somewhere in South. It was like close to Myrtle Beach, but we got turned away when you're walking with a bunch of big people. There's been multiple
Yeah.
times where I've been with strongmen and they
Yeah.
see us in the restaurant and they turn
Oh,
us
yeah,
away,
yeah.
or they say like, "You guys are not
Yeah,
doing
they're
the
not
all
ready
you
for
can
that.
eat buffet."
No.
If there's more than 3 of us, usually.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll
Thank you.
say thank you.
Bye.
So,
Cool.
bye
Thank you.
guys.
All right, we'll see you later.